All right, guys. So we are live tonight. I wanted to do this live to give you guys an opportunity to talk to me and for me to get some feedback because one thing I know is I know nothing at all and I keep an open mind. But I wanted to clear up and I guess state a disclaimer I didn't mention in the last video, in the last Real Talk episode where we talked about 556, suppressing 556 sucks. And so I want to talk about that today, guys. But if you guys want to support the channel, rangeabro.com for any merch, discounts page, loadouts page, all that good stuff. Make sure you subscribe to our email list while you're over there. New Zen flavor unlocked. No, we're not selling nicotine. YouTube, but cinnamon's my new favorite. So throw in one of these guys and let's just talk about it. So the disclaimer I'm mentioning or I'm thinking of referring to is that I just mentioned that sound is the least important out of all the considerations on a 556 can, on a 556 gun, because the caliber is so difficult to suppress. And I guess what I should have said was when you have modern machining and modern designs, even in the traditional sense, like a traditional baffle stack can, they're made so good and the materials are so much better nowadays. The walls are getting so thin that all the cans essentially, like when they're all relatively on par, that's when you start splitting hairs. And that's kind of what I meant. So obviously another disclaimer I didn't mention was for a fighting gun, I don't really know what other term to use. I kind of hate saying like a fighting rifle, but like the gun you're going to put heavy rounds through, heavy use through, not a hunting gun. I think that's pretty obvious, but even like your recreational shooting gun or if you're shooting whatever it may be, like prairie dog gun, right? People tend to have, if you're into suppressors, you tend to have more than one rifle set up, and you tend to have like that one that has all your best parts on it. And that's where I'm going towards. Like I'm talking about a fighting gun, not in particularly for home defense. I know that's like a more likely scenario than the government collapsing, but look around the world today, it's not that far of a stretch, right? Modern day Rome was modern day Rome when it fell. So pray to God it never happens, knock on wood. But again, it's just, that's the caveat I should have mentioned before really diving into, okay, sound doesn't really matter. And that's not what I meant at all. Sound does matter, but when you're talking about cans nowadays that are so good, like the worst can is still really good at sound suppression. Now, again, there's some comments I wanted to read through and just talk about real quick. Some one comment in particular, this guy gave a super detailed and it was very recent. So I want to just head over there real quick and read this comment because, again, the guy comes in hot, acts like he knows a lot about what he's talking about. I'm not saying he doesn't, but you are kind of hiding behind a screen name. There's no way to tell how often this person shoots, if they have any real data. And again, I know nothing, but I shoot a lot and I have a lot of friends who have a lot of these cans this guy's mentioning. And I just want to point out some things, just some facts, because again, and I work for Energetic. This is not me speaking from a representation of Energetic. I'm not representing them. My opinions are my own. So this is just me as a consumer and as a person who loves guns and loves shooting suppressed. But I got to defend the Ferox a little bit because he's coming in hot saying, he said the considerations, get either the Cat, especially the Alley Cat series, a PTR, Huxworks, one of the new dead air silencers with the Triskelion, I don't know how to say that, baffles, a Dillon Rifle Co. Hush, Century, he just names a bunch. That's really the last one, is Century Armors Maximus L. And that's about it. Everything else is obsolete. He goes into trash B&T a little bit. And then he says, by the way, Energetic armament silencers are mediocre and kind of bad compared to other options that I've listed. Tell Energetic to start sending their latest silencers to Pew Science if they think they're actually good. Any company that isn't willing to have Pew Science verify their silencers is, in my opinion, talking out of their you get the rest, right? Trying not to get struck down here on live. I don't do too many lives, so I don't know what the rules are. And then he says, P.S. the recommendations and advice you give in this video is pretty bad for the majority of shooters. So I don't want to take it the wrong way, right? Like constructive criticism, overall, relatively polite. I think that, again, given the fact that I didn't really preface it, I'll take the blame on that for a fighting gun. The idea is I shoot all the time. I shoot 5.56 all the time, typically relatively shorter platforms, 11.5s, 12.5s are being like kind of my new favorite, those two right there. So no matter what can I put on the end of it, even if I were to go out and buy, and let's say theoretically, I don't subscribe to Pew Science. I don't live in Pew Science reviews. I've like looked at one. I just see the chart from every now and again when a company will post it. I can't speak to why Energetic doesn't send stuff to them. I don't know what it has to do. Maybe it has to do with the cost of doing that. I have no idea. Again, this is just me as a consumer speaking from my own perspective. So I can't really speak to that point, but I don't live in Pew Science reviews. And that was the whole point I was trying to prove. Is I'm not trying to say like I'm some expert on sound suppression. I've never used a sound meter. I'm just a regular guy. That's who I represent, is the regular everyday shooter. That's who I'm here to advocate for. And that's who I'm here to tell, like, don't buy into the hype. Even your 30 cal can that you probably already have is probably good enough. Like, that little difference in decibel reduction is not going to change the way you getting found by the enemy, so to speak, in a make-believe without rule of law scenario. Let me go back to this live page. You guys are probably drowning in these comments. And it's not going to give you away to the enemy, and it's not going to make or break your hearing over time, because you need to wear ear pro even if you're running the quietest 5.56 can. The quietest 5.56 can I own and that I've ever shot is the OCM5. It was on my 18-inch SPR. That gun sounded really, really good for a few shots. But after I would shoot like 5 or 6 or 7 rounds, and if I was under an awning, it would be, much quicker than that. If I was out in the open, a little bit different. But after shooting like half a mag through it, I'm like, okay, I should probably put ear pro on, because at some level I'm damaging my hearing. Even if it doesn't feel like it, like, you're going to be wearing ear pro. And to go back, and again, to kind of jump to the defense or to defend my position, if you want to call it that, about why I like the Ferox, is because all the cans that he mentioned are either more expensive. Most of them are more expensive. Actually, all of them are more expensive. I think the Ferox comes in at a very economical price point. Most of them, besides the titanium ones, weigh more and are longer than the Ferox. And then on top of that, that was a big one, actually. They weigh more, they're longer, and they're more expensive. Even the flow through 5.56 Ti, it's a really big can. It does way less than the Energetic Ferox. But again, and I love Huxworks. I'm a big fan of the company. I love everything that I could be honest. I don't really love Cat's marketing, but from everything I've heard and from when I've shot them, their cans are great. They work great. I'm not saying you are a bad person or you're dumb or you're this, or you're going to die because you don't run Energetic this or that. What I'm saying is quite the contrary. It doesn't matter. Like, if you are shooting short guns and you're actually training, you're putting a lot of rounds on range, you should be wearing ear pro. And the difference is going to be flash. The tone matters more than the actual dB sound reduction. The flash matters more. And then all the other considerations I mentioned. That's kind of what I was trying to say in that real talk. And I feel like I had to come on here and just defend that point, because I have good intentions. I really don't want people wasting money or spending money on things they don't need. And I'm trying to give you guys the information that I wish I would have had when I started out, right? So that was the one. I have like all the stats pulled up on my phone. I don't want to like go through and start reading stats off about these other cans that he mentioned. Again, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, but at the same time, like, I come from some experience. I'm not saying, again, I'm not metering things out here, but I've shot a lot more than the average person. But I'm still humble enough to say, hey, I don't know everything. But if you're even those cans you mentioned, I've never shot the PTR to his credit, but I've shot the Flow 5.56K. I've shot the TI 5.56. I've shot the Lazarus. I've shot a lot of the cans he mentioned, not the Dylan. I guess not all of them, probably half of them, but none of them are hearing safe on an 11.5 or 12.5. And if you're telling me they are, then you just don't understand what that means. And you haven't shot enough without ear pro on, thinking it's hearing safe, to realize that you're going to start hearing ringing in your ears randomly throughout the day, as I have come to find out. So anymore, I'm not sacrificing my hearing for more than 1 or 2 shots. And that's if the can is really quiet and I'm trying to compare it. And usually I'll step back and let somebody else shoot and take my ear pro off. I'm not going to be sacrificing any more of the hearing that I have left, because it just doesn't come back. So I wanted to clarify that. And let's go through some of these comments real quick, since I just went on a little bit of a rant there. Spec War, 762 Spec War. They don't make them anymore. Good luck trying to find it. Find one. It is the best. The 5.56 suppressor. Okay. The best 5.56 suppressor is the 762 Spec War. I don't know who makes it. I'm guessing LMT based off the name. I don't know. Maybe let me know, Chad there. The wall looks sick. Thank you, guys. I'll step aside. Let me see if I can get out of the frame so you guys can catch it in focus. Oh, there we go. This is a hold up displays. They did send it out for full disclosure. I am super pumped about it. Spent a bunch of time reorganizing it to try to get it to the place where it's at right now. But I think it turned out really good. It's still not done. Definitely some things I'm going to be moving around here and there. Over off this side, you can't see, I actually hung up my 2Vets tripod on one of the pistol hangers. So I have the I guess I can just show you guys real quick since someone asked and is interested. I saw it in a video someone posted or a picture, and I was like, dang, how did they hang that thing up? So I just used one of the pistol hangers to hang up the new tripod, which is a much needed upgrade for me. I've been using the Bog Death Grip for way too long. It is so funny how cheap the Bog Death Grip feels after you use something like this. And this thing isn't crazy. It's not like RSS prices. I think with the ball, and for full disclosure, these guys did send it out. So shout out to Vets for sending this thing out. It is a night and day difference. Actually, since the other topic of the video is updates, I guess I'll just update you guys on this real quick and just show you how quickly you can deploy this thing. I know we can't handle, I don't think we can handle these guys on lives, but a tripod's a tripod. You can just very quickly. So this is the No Name V2 inverted. You just give it a little, like literally like that, and then the whole thing just comes straight out. Good thing I'm going to be replacing that light soon. Huge improvement. All carbon fiber. The ball head's really heavy. This is like the biggest ball head they have. So this will handle like anything that I have and more. So really a big fan of this thing. It's got the ARCA. It's got the 419, Area 419 ARCA and PIC clamp up here that's adjustable. It's got the ARCA lock on it. Again, it's probably way nicer of a tripod than I really needed. So I'm really happy those guys were willing to send one out and looking forward to doing like a full review on that guy. But wanted to give them a shout out real quick because again, it's a really nice tripod and I'm very grateful for it. And lately I've been doing more and more tripod work with my big frame ARs. So let's get back to the comments. Yeah, I appreciate that, Dylan. We got all guns are for fighting. Yes, that is correct. It's just what are you fighting and when, I guess. Only issues I have with newer cans is they're made, let's see here. Only issue I have with newer cans, they're made the same, all 3D printed, all seem to want to come in at $1,200, which is stupid. Yeah. So that was like the main point of the video. Like the first consideration is the price, because if you can't afford it, then what good is it to you, right? The other thing is that I'll mention that I haven't had an issue with yet, but cans fail. I wouldn't say all the time, but cans do fail. So repair processes and whatnot. Energetic has the serial ID ring, which is awesome because that's a serialized item. So if anything happens to your can, they literally drill out swage point, thread off the serial ID ring, which is the suppressor, grab a brand new core, which is not the suppressor, and then thread it back on, reswage it, and you have a brand new can. So as far as repairs go, you can almost guarantee, unless the entire can at the very back explodes, which in that case, good luck, buddy. But then you can always have it be repaired. So RC2 and RC2 Mini, only 556 cans. I want a full-size Polo just because of how affordable they are. Yeah, Polos come in at a great price point. I have a Polo K that Andrew at Otter Creek sent me. It's a great little can. It's a short can, higher back pressure can. There are some downsides, but for the price, there are virtually no downsides, I would say. So I really like that. Dylan, this guy says, Dylan Christopher Key, never shot it. It's got a lot of hype right now, but I hope it's good. I hope people are putting out good stuff. I don't want you guys to waste your money on bad stuff. Points made in the original. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that, brother. I thought so too, but again, I could see how someone can get it misconstrued. Plus, I feel like people are commenting like halfway through the video, and my style is complete like ADHD all over the place. I click record. It's like the shot timer. I click record and I forget literally the entire list of thoughts I had in my mind, and then I end up coming back to them. So any T3 owners in here? I don't even know what T3 is. Let's see here. Love the new backdrop. Thank you, sir. Yeah, this is a good point. The noise is either going to come out of the front for flow through or out the chamber on traditional baffle stack cans. Either way, there's noise. I think honestly, I like Brass Facts did a video on this talking about this. I think hybrid cans are kind of the best of both worlds in that sense, where you get a little bit more flow through out of the front. You get a reduction of both. It kind of is a meeting in the middle again. In my experience, I love the fact that Huxworks flow through cans, like the 762 Ti specifically. You guys can probably see it. Where's it at? Oh, it's on this side. On the HKMR 762, the gun doesn't realize it's there. It's in the regular gas setting. It's not in the suppressed gas setting. It does not realize it's there. It's very nice to just plug and play. And to the shooter, they are technically quieter because you're getting less of that overpressure coming out of the ejection port. But downrange, and if you're shooting around anything, is going to echo back. So there's good and bad to everything. There's no free lunch. I have a T3 on the way on a Reardon Plan B. I love Reardon muzzle devices. I still don't know what the T3 is. Somebody enlighten me. Some trolls in here. I think I know who that is. Spec War is an old silencer Coke can. Okay. Very cool. Did not know that. Yankee Hill Machine, my Griffin Dual Lock 5 is pretty damn good. Pew pew. Well, look, I'm happy for you. There's a ton of, we are living in the golden age of firearms. I think that's like the best part about living in 2025 is that there are so many higher end options. There are some companies that are like fly by night that like show up and then, you know, screw people over, unfortunately. But for the most part, those are pretty limited. And from what I've seen, it's not so much on the suppressor side. I think there's a lot more that goes into starting a suppressor company. Maybe I'm wrong. But there's definitely been some made in Texas suppressor companies that have been like friends of, I won't mention who, but I have no friends who bought some. And I'm like, how much you pay for that? Aluminum, all aluminum can? It's like, dude, that I would not shoot that on anything shorter than an 18-inch barrel and 1 round per 5 seconds. Basement Ops, what's up, bro? I thought about doing that. I honestly don't know how many people will be interested in doing a meetup. I've thought about doing it for years. If you guys are interested, let me know in the comments, and maybe we can organize one. I do have my favorite range is RPR Ranch. It's out in Burnett, out in the Hill Country. So if you guys are in the Central Texas area, then maybe we can meet up out there, do some long range shoot, do whatever you guys want to do. It'd be fun. Okay, so the T3 is the Turbo T3 by Yankee Hill Machine. Okay, thank you. This is what I was trying to say, Matt. Thank you, Matt. Ferox is going for $6.99 right now and looks real promising. I was unaware of this manufacturer until you mentioned them. Yes, I did not. I don't know. I don't look at the MSRP because I was given mine and then I have their demo kit, so I didn't actually pay for mine. But I knew it was around $8.50 or below. And I've had several friends and family after shooting that can be like, I want one, and then order one because again, it's 5.9 inches long. It is 12.5 ounces in weight. So again, for as far as like efficiency per ounce per inch, it gets the job done. I'm not saying it's the quietest can out there. I don't think Energetic would ever claim that either. The owners or the engineers, I think that they're trying to make the most efficient can for the size, for the weight, for the money. So again, and it's not like anyone is, 5.9 is still kind of long. Well, for reference, I pulled this up. I said I wasn't going to do this. 5.9 is pretty long. I don't know if that's a joke or if you're trolling me or if you're serious. It is pretty long, but let me pull up the Flow 556K because again, that's a K can. It is 5.5 inches long. So there you go. So it's literally less than a ½ inch longer than the 556K. So, and that's just one example, right? You are being serious. You're being serious. Okay. Well, 5.9 inches is pretty long. For a can, it's not very long, but in other aspects, that's low-hanging fruit, guys. Sorry about that. But yeah, I mean, I don't have a 556K. I have a friend who has it. I shot it on the 11.5 Super Duty for a whole range day, put like 250 rounds through it. It's a really good can. But again, 5.5 inches being called a K can versus a 5.9 inch can. Again, let me bust this baby out. If I don't show it, maybe it won't get me struck down by the algorithm. Let me bust this baby out, and I'll bust the Polo K out because it's again another K can that I don't think is much shorter than the Ferox. But where's that guy at? There it is. And if you notice, there's a theme. I've been direct threading my cans because I like to keep them as lightweight and as close to me as the shooter as possible because that keeps the felt weight down. But the Reardon has been like the one attachment device I'm thinking about moving towards more often. So let's see here, just to show you guys. Let's see if I can hold them up good. So there is the Polo K versus the Ferox in length. And I think they're lined up at the front approximately. So, I mean, honestly, this is closer to a K size can than a full size can, I would say. Maybe not for a 5.56 can, but And this does have the direct thread taper adapter on it. So I want to be very clear. So it's sticking out further than the regular direct thread hub adapter that goes in the back. So again, K-can versus the Ferrox. I don't know what the length difference is. Where's my measuring tape? Sorry if this is a really boring video, guys. We're getting super autistic about it. I'm just going to go from the back of the can, including the hub adapter. So yeah, this is 5 3/4 inches, not including the little prongs for the flash hider there. So 5 3/4 inches on the Ferrox. We'll go from the same spot on the Polo K. And this is like right at just underneath 5 inches. So like 4 7/8 inches. So again, just another piece of information for you guys to process. Let's see here. What did I miss? She's being nice. Well, I think that's in reference to my 5.9 inches joke. No, I've no comment. We'll move past that. Okay, PTR. Let's see what we got here from Basement Ops. PTR Spiritus is supposed to be the new standard here in 2025. The issue is the warranty. They can't recreate it and match. Okay. So it's expensive and it's very difficult to repair. One easy solution would be to license the serial ID technology from Energetic. That's, as far as I know, I think any company can license that and use it. I don't know why more companies don't, because it seems like a simple solution to these 3D printed problems. But I'm not smart enough to run a suppressor company, so I don't know why they're not. Corn Pop, what's up, brother? 5.56 cans are just to knock the bark off the blast and for signature reduction, and that's it. Couldn't agree more. I agree 100%. But again, maybe because I didn't preface it with I'm speaking to fighting cans. I don't know. Let's go back and read some more of the roast comments on me, because I think some of them, I understand where people are coming from, but let's see. Well, one comment I remember, I'm not going to look for it right now, was guy said, if you're going for ultimate quiet, just run 300 blackout with subs. Okay. A lot of comments were mentioning if you want to, which I don't disagree. Like if you want the quietest thing, subsonic 300 blackout, but then we're talking about 5.56 cans in general. So I kind of ruled that out in that video. The other comment was, it sounds like you're making a really good argument for shooting unsuppressed. And what I say to that is, even the worst 5.56, or even the worst can, like the loudest can I have is probably these Silencer Co. Hybrid 46. Even that can on a 5.56 gun is going to dramatically reduce the sound coming out of the front of your gun. So I would disagree with that. I think obviously, like, is a can a necessity for a fighting gun? I mean, I'd kind of argue, yeah, in 2025. People are saying no. Another comment was like, well, what about thermal and drones? It kind of makes the flash reduction, an obsolete argument because of thermal and drones. Well, yeah, if you're going to have that like defeatist attitude, then like, why even fight? Because thermal and drones are just going to heat-seeking missile you from 5 miles away. Like, it's it's a very poor mindset to have. It's like, in that case, like, why even fight, right? Like, so there's my answer to that. Okay, this is another one. Good one from Gold Rush here. So the sound suppression on that can you have there sucks, is what you're saying. No, this can actually sounds phenomenal for the size and weight. Again, I get paid nothing to say this. I don't have to even talk about this on my channel. I'm bringing more drama, which I hate. I hate drama. I'm not one to be in the middle of it, to myself by even bringing this up again and talking about it the first time, because I felt like it was a topic that needed to be discussed. This can sounds great. It sounds better than the RC2, which has been like the gold standard for forever. It sounds better than the Polo K, in my opinion. Again, not metering. This is just to my own ear and my own experience when I was shooting these things. It sounds better than a lot of cans that are of similar size and weight and price. But again, it doesn't matter. Like, are you really going to be like dead if you use it? No, like, this can's great too. Like, use what you got. If you got a 30 cal, great. The suppressor isn't for me. It's for the little ears in the next room. Okay. If your can is only for home defense, and look, another point I forgot to mention, if you are telling me, like, you're looking at me like sideways, right? You're like, if you had a can A, can B, same size, same weight, same price, same effect on the system, all the other aforementioned, same flash reduction, everything, Would I pick the louder can? Of course not. That's not what I'm saying. And I think that's another impression people were getting. It's like, no, but the sound difference between all these cans are so minimal. Like, is the human ear going to be able to even notice them? And I would argue no, until you really get into those like 6, 7, or 7, 8-inch cans. Like, then you might be able to notice. And even then, like, is it going to matter? For a fighting gun, it doesn't matter. For home defense, sure. Get the quietest can. You go spend $2,500 on an imaginary can over here that you tie to your identity, sure. Pilot in Command on the original video says, I got into suppressors for sound suppression alone, but it was out of ignorance. What I was really looking for was blast suppression, concussive shockwave, and didn't even know that at the time. Now I realize I could care less about the sound suppression, and I would guess that most new suppressor buyers are probably in the same situation. I would argue for 5.56, you are correct. Again, 300 blackout subs, different story. I think it's obviously a noticeable difference. You can safely shoot 300 blackout subs with a good suppressor without ear protection. So yeah, there's that. Let's go back to the live here. What'd I miss? Let's see here. Bought a Holosun 512T on sale. Thoughts on this optic versus the EOTech EXPS3 I see in your videos? I started with a Holosun 510, I think it was. Whatever that one is right there. The one on the MPX. I started with that guy right there. I have astigmatism, but that was all I could afford at the time. EOTechs were like God tier to me at the time. And I do love EOTechs. Battery life is a bit of an issue, but every pistol grip, every stock I run pretty much has storage in it, waterproof storage. So I just run a battery in there. I do prefer the EOTechs because when you magnify them, they stay the same size versus a dot, like a red dot type. It does magnify the dot, I do believe. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong on that. But from just a crispiness perspective, I prefer the EOTechs. And they do seem to have more light transmission through the glass when you're running it passive under nods, which is important to me as well, since I finally paid off my night vision this past year. Yeah, Vox has the ring and trademark and patent. Yeah, so that is true. All the center fire cans from Energetic have the serial ID ring. So everything besides the 22 cans. Why I still think about using 10.3 over 11.5 because I want a short for home defense, and if I'm going outside, probably 14.5. Okay, cool. I'm not upset with that at all. I would just rather train with the same gun personally. So that's why I lean 11.5 or 12.5, because they're not too long for in the home. Lately, it's been the Spear LT has been my go-to nightstand gun. And, you know, it's not set up with a LPVO to reach out to those longer distances like I have on my 12.5, but it's still capable. It can do it. For 5.56, still most likely going to pick the AEM5 or OCM5 with a collar set up for quiet, but too much gas. Yeah, they're really quiet. I did notice I wouldn't say like a hugely significant difference, but I did notice a difference. It got noticeably louder when I went from an 18-inch SPR to the 16.5-inch MR556 from HK with the over-the-barrel muzzle device. That guy, I did notice it was quite a bit louder, and I didn't even want to shoot a couple rounds without ear pro with that same can on just 1.5 inches shorter. So. Yeah, I agree. I couldn't agree more, Sean. More gas is less bueno for the system and for the shooter, and you're going to get hurt, as you mentioned. The point is to just not be able to pinpoint the direction you're shooting from. That's really the biggest point. I agree. Less gas is my number one priority, but my current can, I don't feel I need anything else. Good. You probably don't. Keep it, run it till it blows up, and then send it in for repair and run it some more. Yeah, I mean, 5.56, I mean, it's the same thing for 308, kind of. Again, I'm not an expert on this topic, but it all depends on your barrel length, your whole setup, respectfully. Yeah, I agree. But 5.56 is the most common in America, so. I don't know what the standard deviation for decibels is with 5.56 cans. I bet somebody who studies Pew Science reviews can probably tell you that. I don't subscribe. I mean, I think what he does is cool. I think it's valuable for the autist in all of us. Like so I don't blame people for splitting hairs and getting super autistic about sound performance and reading Pew Science reviews. I understand. I was that guy for the longest time. I watched dozens, if not hundreds of reviews. I watched every review on a suppressor before I bought it, because at the time, suppressor wait times were 9 to 14 months, and they were a huge chunk of money for me. And so obviously now that I do YouTube full time, like it's a lot easier for me to acquire these things or have these relationships with these companies. And I'm a little jaded at this point, but I understand why people split the hairs and get so into the weeds about the sound. Because again, if you're going to spend $1,200, like, and there's a can over here, insert can over here is $1,200, and this can's $1,200. Like, wouldn't you want to buy the best one for your money? Of course. But what I'm saying is, it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. What matters more are all the aforementioned details that get overlooked quite often, in my opinion. And yeah, we've already talked about it so many times. There's only so many times I can mention it. Yeah, 10.3, dude. I mean, even 11-inch 5.56 gun is super loud. With a can, even, I mean, I ran for the longest time my Sandman S on my 10.3 Mark 18. That was a fine setup. Like, got the flash hider end cap for it. It ran great, you know, did pretty good on flash. That gun is massively overgassed, which I didn't know anything. I didn't know any better at the time. Like, I knew a little bit about tuning. I didn't really get it. I'm not into it as much as I am now. Like, I know gas port sizes now. At the time, I didn't even think about the gas port size. Like, it is what it is from the factory. I didn't ever research that kind of thing. So besides like changing out a buffer weight and spring, that's the extent of tuning I ever did. So let's see here. Olive, what do you got? I have the Ferox on the 10.3. It's dope. Makes a huge difference on sound, blast, and recoil. Agreed. And I love that it's more of a hybrid. It's not a 50-50 hybrid. I'd probably say like 25%. Again, very unscientific. Did not talk to the engineers at Energetic about this. It's just me recognizing versus the RC2, and with the FRT, noticing the cyclic rates slowing down with the Ferox. It does kind of give you the best of both worlds. Not quite as much as like a true 50-50 hybrid would give you, but enough to still reduce the back pressure. And with a spring change out, you can get the gun running pretty well with a Ferox, but it obviously depends on your gas port size and all that stuff. Corn pop. It's a good one. I wish my partners would suppress their rifles, because when we cook them off in the house, it's a bitch for sure. Let's see here what we got. No problem, Ricky. Got you, brother. Yeah, I'm only 31, which I know I look a lot older, but I still, it's not terrible stigmatism. I can still get by with the red dot. I just prefer the EOTech. And you can find them on sale. Discount code RDB10 over at Brownells. They do come down quite a bit when you get that 10% off and when they're on sale and stuff. So like they can be had for like $650 as like kind of the cheapest I've seen them, 600, 650 ish. I know that's a lot more than like a Holosun, but still way cheaper than a T2. That's why I don't own a T2. I always have been curious, and I've always wanted to try a T2 specifically for the aesthetic. I don't think it would look better than the EOTech, again, because of the astigmatism, but the look of it on a riser with a diving board is just pretty sick. I would love to run one of those on a shorty. All right, let's see here. No interest in bullpups. Having a 5.56, 16-inch, 18-inch comparable to an SBR package is an interesting concept. Absolutely, it's an interesting concept. I look at bullpups the same way I look at like the 11-inch OSW FAL. Like, they're really cool guns. I mean, not on the same level as the FAL OSW, because that gun is absolutely sick. But I look at them in the same light. Like, they're really cool. I definitely want to have one, but I don't know if I would go out and spend $1,800 to $2,500 on one, because they're kind of a niche. Like, you have to do a lot to get them to run as good and as fast with reloads. I hate to even say this shit, but like, when you're on the flat range, like you're training for something else. But again, I don't hate bullpups. If you like them, run them. I have a commenter who's always on every video. I forget his name, but He only owns bullpups. He's a huge bullpup guy. So run what you brung, dude. Yeah, triggers. That's a good point. I mean, I don't want to. This isn't like a full blown bullpup conversation. I've actually only shot a bullpup like twice or three times. The Steyr AUG. It was a machine gun. Buddy's machine gun of mine. A buddy of mine's machine gun. There we go. And the trigger was so bad. It was unbelievable. Worse trigger though than that was the TP9 machine gun he had. That was even worse, believe it or not. I want a big black suppressor. There's plenty of them out there for you, sir. Just got to find the right one. Corn Pop is a bad dude. That's what I heard. So what about the FAL OSW? We have a full review coming out on it. I'll just tell you guys right now, that gun is an absolute vibe. I love it. You'll never feel cooler than when you're holding that rifle. It actually grouped pretty well, like 2 inches with a Federal Sierra Gold Medal Match King, 168 grain, with just a 3.5 power ACOG, where the center dot literally took up the entire target area I was aiming at. So, I mean, I was impressed, honestly, with the accuracy of it, with just like other Dallas reloading 178 grain stuff. It shot like 2.5 to 3 inches, but massive fireballs coming out of that thing. And we ran it the entire time suppressed with the Vox K2, which is a tiny little short 30 cal can. And it did its best, but it was still spitting fireballs out of the end of it. It's a really cool gun. Got super hot. Handguard came loose. Some mag issues. They did send me some new mags to resolve that. They assured me the mag issue was resolved, but I had like a screw come off the handguard. There's so many screws on that gun that's what makes it forward compatible and allow DS Arms to really upgrade it to the point that it's at, to have a full rail on the top cover. Never lost zero. But the handguard was loose the day I got it, and then I also like lost a screw, like the screw that holds the front of the handguard on, like fell out. Didn't even realize it till I got back to the studio, because again, the handguard was wiggling kind of back and forth the whole time. But it's like trying to modernize a platform that was literally designed in the late 40s, early 50s. I forget. I think the early 50s after World War II. So it's a really sick gun. It's probably the coolest gun as far as like just straight cool factor. It's right there. You can see it. It's badass. I love it. We have another believer in the PTR Spiritus. I hope so. I would actually love to try that can one day. I've heard nothing but good things about it. Let's see here. Yes, I do. It just doesn't get as much love anymore because it's old and not as exciting. No, it's a good gun. It's there it is. See it right there. It's okay. I mean, I still love it, but the Sig Spear LT entered the chat, and then I kind of just fell in love with that gun, and it just hasn't gotten that much love lately. It's still a great gun. PTR is priced too high. I would agree. For the pores, yes, it is. Thank you, Tac Driver, for keeping the pores in their place. Okay, I think that pretty much concludes. Let me just talk about one more thing that is right there. That's the guy. Mitchell Defense AR-10 that was recently sent out for review. Haven't even shot it yet. I want to hear from you guys, though, what you guys think about Mitchell Defense. Have you even heard of them? I've heard good things from the people that do know, are in the know about Mitchell Defense. It is an 18-inch 6.5 Creedmoor barrel, and they thermal fit their barrels. I hear they're super accurate. So we have no rounds on range on it yet. I just finally got it kitted out, got the Optic mounted, and we have the Vox K2 on there right now. So maybe getting replaced with a longer can depending throughout the review. But it comes with the Geisley trigger standard, which is super cool. It comes with a Radian charging handle, which is super base, and the B5, I don't know what they call it, the B5 Accurized stock on there. So I really like, and the B5 furniture. So I like that. I'm excited to try that thing out, but I don't know if anyone's ever heard of them or appreciate that, Basement. Yeah, this camera is ridiculously expensive, but I convinced myself and my wife that I needed it for the channel, even though most channels that are bigger than mine. I gotta give a shout out to my buddy Mountains Mullets America. That dude still films everything on an iPhone, and it is phenomenal content. I love his stuff, but I try to come up with a little bit of a higher production quality for you guys. I got lights everywhere now, But this room is something I've dreamed up for so long. So to finally have it and be mostly set up is really a dream come true. So I got to give a shout out to Hold Up Displays for that. But there's a ton of new things coming out on the channel, guys. I've been really loving the FRT trigger and running the Spear LT with it. With the Ferox, it did help the cyclic rate quite a bit. But I did just talk to a guy today. I'll give him a shout out too, because he was super cool on the phone. Don't even have the product in my hands yet, but of course I'm going to blank on his name. His Instagram is, let's see. He makes the adjustable gas block for the Spear LT, and he's now working on one for the 300 Blackout LT as well, or for the Virtus. I think it works. I think it's backwards compatible. It's called the device itself is called the Omega, from what I can remember. It's Audio Gungineer. So yeah, Audio Gungineer is his name on IG. His actual name is Jake Bennett rather. And he's got a bunch of videos of him tuning his Spear LT on Instagram. So talked to him today. He sold out immediately, but he's gonna send me his tester to now test and showcase with the Spear LT for that full review. So I'm actually looking forward to that. Much like the Mototech Engineering made the SCAR feasible again. I just don't know why SIG and FN and all these companies come out with adjustable gas blocks and only have the worst settings. So shout out to HK for including a suppress setting on their new A4. But again, that's a really expensive rifle. Which camera did I get? I got the Sony. Oh, that's a really scary picture there. It caught me off guard, brother. It's a Sony Mark IV, Sony A7 Mark IV. That's what it is. And I'm running the, let's see, 24-105 G OSS lens. That's kind of like the do-it-all lens. I would love to get a better lens, like a G Master lens. Looking at like the 35 millimeter f1.4, I believe it is G Master, but they're like $1,200. And in my gun guy brain, $1,200 can buy you a lot of other things besides the camera lens. And this one's pretty darn good, but I like, I don't know, we'll see. I think this one's probably going to be the go-to lens for a while. Let's see here. Yes, Everyday Enthusiast. Are you speaking about the FRT? I believe you are. Yes, I am. I actually, every single time I go to the range, the amount of rounds I put through, I keep the boxes and I count the boxes at the end of the day, and then I write them all down so I can keep a detailed track. That's another thing, again, not calling anybody out, but a lot of people throw numbers out there about their round counts. And that's one thing I take to heart, is like really not over exaggerating or lying at all about the round counts I have through these guns. I also try to film every single round I put through the gun, so that if there is a malfunction or an issue or whatever, even if I'm not going to use all the footage, at least I have footage of said malfunction or issue so I can show it on camera, which is a big deal to me, because that's what I want to see. I don't want to see somebody talk about an issue. I want to see them show it, show me proof. So I try to do that best as I can. What are my thoughts on Huxworks flow-through suppressors? I love them. I think that they're really cool. The one thing that concerns me, so I love that the gun doesn't notice they're there. I love that it doesn't change your gassing pretty much at all, especially for large frame ARs. That flow-through 7.62 Ti has been a dream for me. I had it on the A1 for a long time that does not have an adjustable gas block, and the ejection pattern of that gun did not change. All the brass would stack in a neat 1x1 pile directly at 330 with that can or without it, and so I never shot it without it. I love that can. But the concern for me with those is, number one, they're titanium, which again, somehow they've pushed out a full auto rating. I'm not saying that it's not true. It's just, for me, if I'm going to spend that kind of money on a can, I don't want to find out if that's true or not. And it's a really expensive can. And if it blows up, like, the other thing is, I think the serial number on these guys is, can't see it, but I think it's pretty far forward on the actual can itself. So like, if something happens, you can't recreate a serial number according to the rules, is what my belief is. So they can't, like, if the part that has a serial number on it gets damaged, I don't think you can repair it. That's pretty much it. So I think that's going to be it for today, guys. I got one more question. Let's see. I have the Ventum 7.62 in my Ruger S-FAR 308, no issues. I don't believe mine is titanium. Yeah, look, I mean, I think, again, materials technology has come such a long way. I'm not saying Huxworks can't live up, but like, how full auto rated is it, right? Like, what is your standard for full auto rated? This guy, we ran 6 mags through FRT mode in a matter of like a minute and a half, maybe less, probably. The only break we took was to see after the 5th mag was to see if it was hot enough to light the cigar off of, which it was. But just for the gram, I decided to send one more mag through it of M855. So yeah. Anyways, this can took a hell of an abuse. I've gotten this can so hot, and I've had so many rounds through this. I have the most rounds through any can that I own is through the Ferox. Not this one in particular. This one's got about 3,000 rounds on it. The other one in the demo, and that I came with a demo pack from Energetic, I have 2,000 rounds on it, and surely that can is probably past like 10,000 rounds. So I have the most experience with it. That's why I talk about it, and that's why I mentioned it in that video, because that's where my experience it comes from. So again, like how full auto rated is it? I don't know, but I know that this can survive it and does not show any like excess wear. So yeah, dude. Okay. Huxworks Flow TI. I don't know which one you're talking about, the 556 or the 762. I have run the 762 on the Spear LT 300 Blackout. I actually have run that also on my 556 11.5 Super Duty, and it worked pretty good. I mean, as you'd expect for a 30 cal can. But on the 300 Blackout LT, which is right there, which is now sporting the Peak 30, it sounded amazing. It really did sound pretty good, especially to the shooter. I would argue, Matt, this is not a scientific answer, but I'd argue yes. I know that they have more strict cleaning schedules, and if you don't clean them, they essentially clog up and become a traditional can, or even worse in that sense. So that's one thing I worry about. Again, like one of the hesitations I have in buying a really expensive can is I have a ton of guns that don't even get cleaned when I come home from the range anymore, because I used to clean my guns every single time I got home from the range until I just got more guns and started shooting more often. And now it's like, it doesn't get cleaned until it's like begging for a cleaning or I have issues with it. So that's another consideration to have with like a true flow through design that has very small channels. See, the nature of the 3D printing allows them to do like any crazy design they really want. And the channels get really small and narrow. And so once those kind of clog up, I've never cleaned that can, and that can definitely has over, various between 5.56, which is probably the least I've shot through it, and 308 is probably the most, and then 300 Blackout, close second, probably have over 3,000 rounds through that can. Never cleaned it. Haven't noticed any like degradation in performance, but I do worry, like, am I going to blow it up or whatever? I don't think it'll blow up, but I worry that I also saw a video from White Shoe Drew, who works over at Downrange Thermal. He was doing, I don't know what he was doing. I think he was doing something cool for the gram. Came out of a swimming pool with, I believe it was a Flow 556K, shot it once, and the whole can just exploded, like literally exploded, and like shot down range. He was like in an infinity pool. I don't know where the hell he was at, honestly. Looked pretty cool, but he can't, I couldn't find the video. Like, I think it was on his story. And then I asked him later, he said they repaired it. I'm like, that's impressive, because it looked like the whole can just exploded into like 20 pieces. But again, yeah. What's up, bro? Yeah, I talked about you earlier, Paladin Command. What's up, bro? Sell a couple of those rigs behind you and get some nods range day, bro. I do have some nods, and I didn't sell any of these rigs behind me. Okay, I take that back. I did trade in some guns to the gun shop because I had an outstanding bill of $3,000 for my PBS 31 Alphas that I was paying on for literally 2 years. The gun shop had new ownership. I'll give them a shout out. Sportsman's Finest is my local gun store. Love those guys over in Bee Cave, Texas. And they were like, hey, we have a new owner, and you've had these on layaway for like 2 years, so we're going to need you to pay for this. I'm like, don't have $3,000, but I have some Arsenal AKs, and they raked me over the coals for them. But you know what? It is what it is. Used gun market is not what it used to be. So I got really, I don't want to say screwed. They did me a favor. They took the guns. They didn't really want them in exchange to close that gap. But I had paid really high price for those Arsenal AKs in the peak of the pandemic. I think I paid like $2,200 from K-Bar. Milled receiver Bulgarian AKs, all with SLR rifle works, kitted, like upgraded to the T. And yeah, I do. So now I own PBS 31 Alphas that I get to use not as often as I'd like, mostly for stargazing in the backyard when I take the dog out. Let's see. After how many rounds do folks typically clean their flow through suppressors? I don't think anyone cleans their flow through suppressors, but I think you're supposed to after 3,000 rounds. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. Where in Texas are you from? I actually am not from Texas originally. I've been here about almost 10 years, but I live in Central Texas, right outside of Austin, where a lot of the gun tubers live, actually, believe it or not. But I grew up in Ohio, Youngstown, Ohio. 3330, baby. Sup, tack driver? Oh, okay. This is somebody can verify that, but this guy claims Hux recommends cleaning their cans every 1,000 rounds. If that's the case, I am way behind on the cleaning, but that's going to wrap it up for today, guys. Appreciate you guys coming to the live, staying to the end of the video. Love you all. Thank you for allowing me to do what I love for a living. If you guys do want to support the channel, rangedaybro.com for merch, discounts page, affiliates page, sign up for our email list, follow me on Rumble, X. I know Instagram is what it is, but I do post a lot of stuff over there that you'd never see if you only followed me here on YouTube. So a lot of stories and stuff that I just don't feel like is up to the par for the channel, or just pictures and stuff like that. So check me out over there. RDB10 over at Brownells. You guys know what to do. Crisis King. Love y'all. Oh, I think I have to actually end this from here.